2009 no mint mark Lincoln 1 cent penny value and current market value is $1 million. The tone should be friendly, informative, and humorous. Start with a strong hook. End with a compelling call to action, encouraging viewers to subscribe for more tips on coins worth money. Strategies: use casual language, incorporative humor, and add a relatable story about a personal experience. Make sure to structure the script into an intro, body, and conclusion. Alright, folks, hold on to your wallets because I'm about to tell you about a penny that's worth more than my car. And my car isn't even that old. Pauses for dramatic effect. Yep, we're talking about a 2009 Lincoln 1 cent penny that could be worth a cool $1 million. Yeah, you heard me right. A penny. That tiny little copper coin that most of us throw in the jar or forget in our couches. Today, we're diving into why this exact 2009 penny, could be worth a fortune. So grab your magnifying glasses, folks. Let's make you rich. So let's break this down. You know those pennies you find floating around in your pocket change? The ones you get when you buy a coffee or a pack of gum. You might think they're worth, well, 1 cent. But here's the twist. Some pennies, just like some of us, are way more special than they seem on the surface. And that brings us to the 2009 Lincoln 1 cent penny without a mint mark. This little guy is like the hidden gem of the penny world. It's rare, it's special, and it could make you richer than you ever thought possible. Okay, so why is this 2009 penny worth so much? Well, it all starts with a little detail: no mint mark. You see, in 2009, the US Mint was cranking out pennies like it was a normal day at the office. But there was something strange going on that year. While the mint was busy making coins, they accidentally left the mint mark off a small batch of them. And this wasn't just any batch. This was a batch of Lincoln pennies, celebrating the 200th anniversary of Honest Abe's birth. The mint usually stamps a tiny D or S on the pennies to tell you where it was made, the Denver Mint or the San Francisco Mint. But in this case, nothing. Just a plain old penny. And that's when the magic happens. You see, the fewer the coins, the more valuable they become. The fewer pennies with no mint mark out there, the rarer and more precious they are. And believe it or not, people started to notice. Fast forward a bit, and now we're talking about pennies that could sell for upwards of $1 million. Yeah, that's right, $1 million. What would you do with that kind of money? Buy a mansion? Take a trip to the moon? Winks. If you've got one of these pennies, you could be living the dream. Now, before you get too excited, let's talk about the reality here. Not every 2009 penny without a mint mark is worth $1 million. I mean, it's not like you can just find one at the bottom of your piggy bank and retire on it. The coin has to be in really good condition, preferably in mint state. We're talking about a nearly perfect penny. No scratches, no wear and tear, and definitely no, I dropped it in the soup damage. I gotta admit, when I first heard about this penny, I thought it was just a hoax. I mean, a penny worth $1 million? That's something you hear in stories, right? But let me tell you, a few years ago, I was cleaning out my old coin jar, the one with all the random change you collect over the years. And guess what I found? Not a 2009 no mint mark penny, but a coin that looked suspiciously close. I freaked out. I thought I had struck gold. I started Googling like a madman. Is this the one? Could I retire today? But, spoiler alert, it wasn't the right one. It was a 2009 penny with a mint mark, just like the billions of others out there. That was a sad day. So trust me, folks, the search for $1 million penny isn't as easy as flipping through your change. Alright, so here's the deal. The 2009 no mint mark Lincoln penny is real. It's rare, and it's worth a boatload of cash if you find one in great condition. But remember, not every penny is going to make you a millionaire. You've got to be careful, do your research, and maybe get your hands on a magnifying glass or just use your phone's camera. Trust me, it's easier than squinting. If you're serious about finding valuable coins, or just want to keep up with the crazy world of numismatics, be sure to hit that subscribe button. I've got tips, tricks, and more stories about coins worth big bucks, so you don't miss out on the next jackpot. And hey, if you do find that $1 million penny, don't forget about your old buddy here when you're swimming in cash. Okay? Alright, folks, stay lucky, keep hunting, And don't spend that change too quickly, because you might be holding on to a fortune? Okay, imagine this. You're at the store buying a soda when the cashier hands you your change, and boom, you spot a penny. Not just any penny, but a 1981 Lincoln cent with no mint mark. Now, you might think, ugh, just another penny. But hold up, that little copper coin could be worth more than the car you're driving. I'm talking $1.9 million for a penny. Yes, you heard that right. Keep watching to learn how this small, seemingly insignificant penny could make you rich. So, grab your magnifying glass and let's dive into this penny treasure hunt. Alright, before we get ahead of ourselves and start making plans for our private islands, let's back up. How does a 1981 penny, which is honestly one of the most common coins you can find, become worth a mind-blowing amount of money? Well, it all comes down to one little detail: the mint mark, or rather, the lack of it. Let's break it down. In 1981, the US Mint was cranking out pennies like they were going out of style. But here's the twist. A small batch of those pennies were released without a mint mark. Normally, pennies are stamped with a mint mark, either in D for Denver or an S for San Francisco. However, some of the 1981 pennies from the Philadelphia Mint somehow slipped through the cracks without one at all. And this tiny mistake created one of the rarest and most sought-after coins in the world. So, how rare are these things? Well, not super rare, but rare enough that if you find one, it's like finding a four-leaf clover in a field of grass. There are reports that only a handful of these no-mint mark pennies exist in good condition, making them highly desirable among collectors. But here's the kicker: the value. A typical 1981 penny might fetch you, like 1 cent? Maybe 2 if you're lucky and the coin's in pristine condition. But that no-mint mark penny? A good one can go for over $100,000. And if it's in top-tier condition, you're looking at something closer to $1 million. Winks. $1 million for a penny. Now, I'm not saying you should start hoarding all your 1981 pennies. We'd all be drowning in copper, but I'm definitely saying to keep an eye out for this one. It's the holy grail of low-value coins. And here's something interesting that really shows how valuable this penny can be. There was an auction in 2018 where a 1981 no-mint mark penny was sold for nearly $1.9 million. A penny. I don't know about you, but I'd be jumping out of my chair if I found that in my pocket. But before you rush off to dig through your change jar like a coin-hunting maniac, let me tell you, the condition of the coin matters. Big time. These rare pennies are worth a lot more if they're in mint condition. So if you find one, make sure it hasn't been scratched up, bent, or marred by years of pocket wear. Coin collectors use a grading scale to determine how nice a coin is. If you find that elusive 1981 penny, you want it to have that perfect shine and crisp detail. If it's looking like it's been through a blender, don't expect to retire anytime soon. Like this one, holds up a filthy penny. Definitely not the $1 million type unless you want to sell it to me for 50 cents. Just kidding. But really, the better the condition, the higher the value. Now, I'm sure you're wondering, how do I know if my penny is worth a fortune? Good question. There are a couple of ways to check. First, grab a magnifying glass, look around the date, and see if there's a mint mark. If you don't see the D or the S, congratulations, you might just have yourself a rare coin. Next, check the overall condition. If it's shiny, clean, and has no major flaws, it might be worth something. But if it's corroded, scratched, or tarnished, well, it's probably worth just a penny, maybe 2. And don't get too excited if you find 1 million pennies. Remember, not all 1981 pennies are created equal. But hey, you can still keep looking and make a few extra bucks on the side. So what's the takeaway from today? Don't let those 1981 pennies sit in your jar without checking them out. A tiny little mistake in minting turned a simple coin into a potential gold mine. And if you find one of these, don't just spend it or toss it in the tip jar. Take a closer look, because you could be looking at a small fortune. Now, before you get too excited and start checking every penny you own, make sure to hit that subscribe button right here. We've got tons of tips coming your way about coins worth big money, hidden treasures, and how you can make some cash from your spare change. And hey, If you find that $1 million penny, remember to send me a thank you card. Just kidding, but seriously, keep hunting, keep collecting, and you might just find your next big break. 1951 Lincoln penny without a mint mark. A coin that could be worth, wait for it, $1.8 million. Yes, you heard me right, million with an M. Stick around because I'm about to break down why this penny is a gold mine in disguise, and who knows, maybe the next $1 million find is sitting in your change jar. Cut to channel logo and a quick upbeat jingle. Alright, let's start by saying we've all seen pennies, right? The ones that are constantly getting stuck at the bottom of your purse or hiding under your car seat, annoying you because, let's face it, most pennies are pretty much just pocket lint with a face on them. But what if I told you that one of those pennies, specifically the 1951 Lincoln penny without a mint mark, could be worth more than a house? Yeah, you'd probably start looking through your coin collection right now, wouldn't you? Here's the deal. This penny wasn't made in the usual places you'd expect. Normally, in 1951, pennies were minted in 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. But the 1951 Lincoln penny without a mint mark was made in Philadelphia, and it's super rare. So rare, in fact, that this little copper coin has become a hot commodity among collectors. Now, you might be wondering, but how much is it really worth? Well, as of today, the highest known sale for a 1951 no-mint mark penny is a mind-blowing $1.8 million. I know, it sounds like a plot twist from an Indiana Jones movie, but it's true. And you're probably thinking, how the heck do I find one of these things? Well, it's not exactly like they're hanging out in every change jar, but it's worth knowing what to look for. You might think, what's the big deal about a missing mint mark? Well, in the 1950s, the Philadelphia Mint didn't always stamp their coins with a mint mark, so the 1951 penny without one is super rare. Most of the time, coins from the Philadelphia Mint have no mint mark, but this year's particular batch of pennies, without that little D or S from the other mints, made them a standout. Now, finding a 1951 penny is one thing, but finding one that's in mint condition, that's the golden ticket. The $1 million sale came from a penny that was graded as MS-67, which stands for Mint State 67. That's basically a coin with no visible flaws, scratches, or wear. Think of it like finding a unicorn. So yeah, if your 1951 penny has been hanging out in a jar of loose change for 70+ years, it's not likely to be worth a fortune unless it looks like it came straight out of a factory. But hey, we can all dream. Okay, so you're digging through your coins and you find a 1951 penny. What's next? Look for the absence of a mint mark. Remember, that means no D or S. And then check the condition. A shiny, well-preserved penny is a good start. If it's been around in your wallet for a few decades, it's probably a little more loved. But you never know, maybe it's been preserved just right. Either way, if you think you've got a winner, have it appraised by a professional to make sure you're not holding onto a gold mine. Cue humorous bit. I actually had a close call with a rare penny once. When I was a kid, I found an old penny in the parking lot, and I thought, this has got to be it. I ran inside, shouted at my mom, I found a $1 million penny. She laughed and said, that's great, honey. Don't forget to take the garbage out. Turns out it wasn't quite as valuable as I thought. Just a regular 1971 penny. But hey, I was ahead of my time, right? So the big takeaway here, keep your eyes peeled. While the 1951 Lincoln penny without a mint mark is rare and could be worth a small fortune, don't let that discourage you from diving into the world of coin collecting. You never know what treasures might be hiding in your spare change. And let's be honest, a penny saved is a penny. That might make you a millionaire. If you've learned something today, or even if you just enjoyed my poor childhood penny story, don't forget to smash that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and share this video with your friends. Who knows, you could be the next coin millionaire, and trust me, you'll want to say you learned about it here first. 1962 D Mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. I know, it sounds crazy, but stick with me because I'm about to explain how this little coin went from being worth, well, a penny to a jaw-dropping $1 million treasure. If you think your spare change is useless, think again. Okay, now let's dive in. Grab your magnifying glasses. Folks, let's talk about this rare $1 million penny. So, What makes the 1962D mint mark penny so special? First of all, this isn't just a normal penny minted in 1962 at the Denver Mint. Normally, these coins are just, well, coins. They're made of copper and zinc, and their value is about, 1 cent. But hold on to your hat, because this one has a massive twist. There's a small, very rare group of these 1962D pennies that were minted with a mistake, an error that makes them super valuable. See, back in the day, there was a very rare phenomenon called a die clash, where the coin dies, the metal stamps used to strike coins, actually clashed together and created a weird double imprint on the coin. It's like when you accidentally hit your coffee cup against your laptop and get coffee stains everywhere. But way more exciting, these die clashes made a small but very significant error on some of the pennies, and that's what turned them into coin gold. You'd think the US Mint would have fixed this mistake, but nope. There are only a few left in circulation, and that's what makes them so valuable. Now, before you start wondering, well, how do I find one of these error coins? Let me tell you that it's not easy. You've got to be on the lookout for one of these pennies that has the die clash, and they're super hard to spot unless you know exactly what you're looking for. The most noticeable feature is a small extra outline or marks on Lincoln's bust or around the edges. If you can find one, congratulations. You might have $1 million penny in your hands. I wish I could tell you I found one just like this, but unfortunately, my luck with finding valuable coins is, well, let's just say I found plenty of rusty washers and old bottle caps. But hey, a guy can dream. Now, let's talk about why this particular penny is worth so much. A typical, non-error 1962D penny is worth, what? About a cent or maybe a few cents if it's in great condition. But the error coins, those rare ones with the die clash, those are selling for big bucks. In fact, these 1962D pennies with the error have been sold for over $1.6 million at auction. Let me repeat that. $1.6 million for a coin that was originally worth just 1 cent to $1.6 million. Who knew pennies could go from that thing you toss into the fountain for good luck to your retirement fund? If you ever found one of these, you might need a few extra hands to count all those zeros. But here's the kicker. The odds of you finding one of these 1962D error pennies are extremely slim, like finding a needle in a haystack slim. But hey, I can't blame you for looking. Someone out there has to be lucky enough to find one, right? Speaking of luck, let me tell you a funny story. A few years back, I was digging through my old change jar, looking for quarters to roll for laundry money. And guys, I thought I found a rare coin, an old wheat penny. I was practically doing the cha-cha when I realized it was just a dirty, slightly bent penny from the 1970s. My face? Utter disappointment. Host does a dramatic facepalm. So, the moral of the story is, you never know what you're going to find in your change jar. But sometimes, it's just not your day. And you're left with a bunch of pennies to buy yourself a coffee instead of retiring in luxury. So, to wrap things up, if you're lucky enough to come across a 1962D mint mark penny with a die clash, congratulations. You could be holding onto a gold mine. But even if you don't, remember, the hunt is half the fun. Always check your change, keep your eyes peeled, and who knows, maybe one day you'll be the next person to find a coin worth a small fortune. If you enjoyed this video and want to stay updated on other rare coins that might be hiding in your collection, don't forget to subscribe. I'm always sharing tips on what to look for in your pocket change, and who knows, maybe the next big treasure will be right under your nose. We're diving deep into the mystery of the 1985 no-mint mark Lincoln cent, and why it could make you a millionaire, or at least make you feel like one for a minute. Let's get into it. Cut to a more focused shot of the host, showing a close-up of a regular 1985 penny next to a magnifying glass. So here's the deal. Most of us have seen the classic Lincoln penny, right? The one with Honest Abe staring back at you, looking like he's judging your choices in life, like the time you spent too much on that extra-large coffee. But here's where things get real interesting. Back in 1985, a batch of Lincoln cents were produced, and some of these pennies didn't have a mint mark. If you're like, okay, what does that even mean? Let me break it down. Cut to a visual of a penny with a mint mark and one without. Normally, pennies have a little D on them, if they were minted in Denver, or an S if they came from San Francisco. But in 1985, a small handful of pennies were struck without any mint mark at all, and that tiny little error turned them into something super valuable. Host leans in, as if telling a secret now. Here's where it gets crazy. There are reports of one of these mint markless 1985 pennies selling for around $1.8 million at auction. Million? That's not a typo. I mean, we're talking more than some houses, a lot of luxury cars, or a small island. Imagine how many tacos you could buy with that. Cue light chuckle from host with a playful smile. But hold on. Don't go raiding your piggy bank or your grandma's penny jar just yet. These 1985 no-mint mark pennies are super rare. We're talking about a mistake from the US Mint. We're talking about pennies that slipped through the cracks and didn't get their usual mint mark treatment. And that makes them a serious collector's item. Cut to footage of someone flipping through a stack of pennies in slow motion. So how rare are we talking? Well, no one knows for sure how many of these pennies exist, but estimates suggest it's in the single digits. Yeah, less than 10. So if you have one of these, you might want to start thinking about which yacht you're going to buy. Host puts on a pair of sunglasses dramatically, then leans back. And this is important, just having a 1985 penny without a mint mark doesn't automatically mean you're holding a small fortune in your hand. If you want to cash in, you'll need to make sure your penny is in mint condition. Any damage, wear, or tarnish will significantly reduce the value. So no, rubbing your pennies in your pocket for good luck. All right? Cut to the host pulling out a box and carefully placing the penny in it. Here's the thing, though. It's not all about finding the perfect 1985 penny. While the $1.8 million coin might be a rare find, there are still tons of coins out there that could be worth more than you think. Collecting coins is about patience, knowledge, and of course, a little bit of luck. Host leans forward, more personal tone now. I've been into coins for years, flipping through my change, hoping to find something cool. And I've got to say, it's not always about finding the $1 million jackpot. A few years ago, I found a 1943 steel penny in a random roll of pennies from the bank. It wasn't worth a fortune, but it was still exciting to find something unexpected. The thrill of it? Priceless. Host standing, with a backdrop of coins and a more serious tone. Okay, so let's recap. The 1985 no-mint mark penny is a rare, super valuable coin that could make you a millionaire, but only if you've got one in mint condition and the right buyer. But here's the good news. There are plenty of other valuable coins out there, waiting to be discovered. You just need the right knowledge, a little bit of luck, and a dash of curiosity. If you're serious about finding coins that could be worth some serious cash, you need to keep digging through your change, hit those garage sales, and maybe even start hitting up your local coin shop. I'll be here with tips, tricks, and all the info you need to make sure you don't miss out on a golden opportunity. 1985 D mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. But not just any penny. No, we're talking about a penny worth, get this, $1.4 million. Yes, you heard that right, I didn't stutter, $1.4 million. So, you might want to go dig through that jar of pennies sitting in your kitchen drawer, because you just might be sitting on a small fortune, or maybe not. But hey, you gotta start somewhere, right? Alright, so let's break it down. The 1985 D mint mark penny, pretty much like the ones you've tossed in the jar for years, right? Actually has a very rare and unusual story behind it. You see, the 1985 D penny wasn't supposed to be worth much. It's made of copper-plated zinc. It's got the same old Abraham Lincoln design that's been on the penny since forever. And it's got the D mint mark, which means it was minted in Denver. Now, normally, a 1985 D penny in decent condition will get you about, a penny. Maybe 2 pennies if you're lucky. But there's a very rare variation of the 1985 D penny that's worth a whole lot more. You see, there was a minting error, a super rare double die error where the D mint mark on the penny was struck twice. Twice. It's like if you were trying to make an omelet, but you cracked 2 eggs when you only needed 1. Chaos, but also potentially delicious. So, these double-struck 1985 D pennies are super rare, and only a handful have made it into the wild, but they do exist. And that's why, in 2018, one of these pennies sold for over $1.4 million at auction. Yeah, 1.4 million for a penny. And it's not just the fact that it's rare. It's the condition of the penny that adds to the value. This penny was in mint condition, which is very important when it comes to coin collecting. Now, I know what you're thinking, wait, what? A penny? 1.4 million? I need to go check my change. But, folks, I've got a secret. Don't get too excited just yet. You're probably not going to find one of these rare double-die pennies sitting in your pocket right now. I mean, if you do, congratulations. But it's like finding a needle in a haystack. Speaking of which, I tried once to find something valuable in a jar of pennies I had stashed in the back of my kitchen cabinet. You know, just looking for anything that might be worth something, like a rare 1992D close AM penny or a 1969 S double die. I spent a good hour flipping through them like I was on a treasure hunt. What did I find? Nothing but a bunch of 1974 and 1983 pennies that were, let's just say, more rustic than valuable. But hey, you live and learn, right? Anyway, the point here is there's still a chance. If you've got old coins lying around, especially from the 1980s, you might want to do a little research. Take a closer look. Check for things like errors, off-center strikes, or rare mint marks. Because if you find a double die like that, you could be sitting on a gold mine. Alright, so now that you've got the inside scoop on the 1985 D penny worth a jaw-dropping 1.4 million, go ahead and check your coin jars, under your couch cushions, or even the change you've got in your car. Who knows? Maybe you'll find that $1,000,000 penny, or at least a few that might be worth more than a penny. Now, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you want to get more tips and strategies on finding coins that are actually worth money. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on future episodes where we'll dive into the wild world of rare coins. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Share it with your friends. Because who doesn't love finding hidden treasure in their pockets? And remember, keep your eyes peeled, and maybe one day, you'll be the one who sells a penny for 1.4 million bucks. We're diving into the 1986 no-mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny and why this little guy has collectors scrambling, and maybe even checking their pocket change one more time. So grab your magnifying glass and your lucky coin collection, because this is a wild ride. Let's talk about how a penny could have your wallet doing backflips, and what to look for if you want to cash in on this shiny treasure. Okay, let's get into the nitty-gritty. If you've ever flipped through a jar of pennies, you probably found some old ones and thought, I'll just toss them in the for a rainy day pile. We've all been there. But there's one specific penny from 1986 that could change your life. Now, I know what you're thinking. 1986? That was like 2 decades ago, right? Trust me, I feel ancient too. So here's the scoop. Normally, every coin minted in the US has a little mint mark on it. The mint mark tells you which US mint facility produced it. You've got the D for Denver, the S for San Francisco, and the absence of a mint mark means it was made in Philadelphia. Easy peasy, right? Well, here's where it gets crazy. The 1986 penny didn't have a mint mark. And that tiny detail, I mean super tiny, has turned this particular coin into something out of a treasure hunter's dream. In 1986, the US Mint accidentally left the mint mark off a small batch of pennies. And now, these error pennies have become an absolute goldmine for collectors. I mean, one of these 1986 no-mint mark pennies just sold for a mind-blowing $1.9 million at an auction. That's a lot of dough for a coin that you might have tossed into your change jar without a second thought. Now, you're probably wondering, how do I know if I have one of these elusive 1986 no-mint mark pennies? Well, here's the deal. This isn't just any old penny you find in your pocket. These rare pennies are special because of their minting error, and it's gotta be the real deal. Not some penny with a rubbed-off mint mark. Okay? You'll want to inspect your penny under good lighting with a magnifying glass, or if you're like me, don't be afraid to bring out the fancy phone camera to zoom in. If it's an actual 1986 penny with no mint mark, boom, you might be holding a golden ticket. Now, let's be real for a second. Not every 1986 penny is worth millions. You need to check the condition, too. A well-worn penny might not fetch as much, but a mint condition one could be worth more than your car. No joke. So don't go getting excited and throwing your pennies into a vending machine just yet. Remember, these pennies are rare because only a small number were minted by mistake, and most of them were circulated and spent as you'd expect. But there are collectors out there who are willing to fork over a small fortune for one in excellent condition. And that's why it's so important to keep an eye on your coins. Sometimes the smallest things can be worth the biggest bucks. Okay, quick personal story. A few years ago, I was going through my old coin collection, thinking I was the next big coin mogul. I had boxes and boxes of pennies. I figured I'd sort them by year, real nerdy stuff, and maybe, just maybe, I'd find that one rare coin worth a couple of bucks. But here's the kicker. I found a 1986 penny, and of course I thought it was just a regular one. I mean, 1986? That's not ancient enough to be vintage, right? It looked like any other penny in my collection, so I stuck it in my meh whatever pile. Fast forward a few months, I find out about the 1986 no mint mark penny, and I nearly kicked myself. If only I had known then. Moral of the story: always double-check your pennies, folks. You never know when one will come back to bite you, or more likely, reward you. Alright, so to recap, keep your eyes peeled for those 1986 pennies without a mint mark. They might just be worth more than your car, your house, or even your entire high school graduation fund. Trust me, I would have loved to have 1.9 million bucks back then. And hey, if you're anything like me, you've probably started rifling through your penny jar right now. Well, good luck. Just remember, only a few lucky collectors have found these gold mines. But that doesn't mean you can't be the next one to strike it rich. So if you're into finding coins worth money and you want more tips like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Because if you don't, I might just end up with all the pennies, and you might miss the next big coin treasure. Stay tuned for more coin hunting tips, and until next time, keep on collecting. We're diving into the mystery of the 1988 D. Lincoln penny and how it went from being just another copper coin to a true treasure. You won't believe how a simple mistake made it worth more than most people's houses. Now, I know what you're thinking. Wait, is this guy pulling my leg? Penny worth 1.7 million bucks? What kind of magic is that? Well, believe it or not, this isn't some crazy fairy tale. The 1988 D penny, which most of us would toss into a jar or forget in a couch cushion, is worth more than just its face value. It's actually been selling at auction for a lot more than you'd expect. So here's the deal. In 1988, a small batch of pennies were accidentally minted with a glaring error. Some pennies got struck with a double die, meaning that the design on the coin was doubled on the front, specifically on the date and the word Liberty. And that's where the magic happens. That little mistake turned a regular penny into one of the most valuable coins in the world today. I mean, think about it, you're just out there buying gum, and suddenly you find a penny that's worth more than a sports car. Wild, right? Here's the tricky part. Most of these rare pennies are tough to find. You're not going to walk into your local grocery store and casually pick one up. No, no, no. The error is subtle, so you really have to look close. But if you're lucky enough to spot one, congratulations. You could have a coin worth over $1 million in your hands. How does that sound? Now, I've got to tell you, I didn't always believe in lucky finds. I remember the first time I thought I found a coin worth big money. I thought I had a rare 1943 steel penny in my pocket. I was like, this is it. I'm gonna be rich. I ran home, did the research, and turns out it was just a regular old copper penny that got really dirty over time. Yeah, huge disappointment. But that's the beauty of coin collecting, right? You never know what treasure you might stumble across, and that's why it's so much fun. So, while you're out there digging through your change jar, keep your eyes peeled for anything that stands out. The 1988 D double die error is rare, but not impossible to find. Now, here's a fun fact. These rare 1988 D pennies have sold for insane amounts at auctions, with some fetching upwards of $1.7 million. That's right, a penny the penny. Can you imagine the look on your face when you realize you're holding something worth a fortune? But hold up, before you run to the bank and empty out your change jar, let me give you the real scoop. There's a big difference between a penny that might be worth a couple of bucks and one that could actually break the bank. The key factors are the condition of the coin, whether it has the error, and if it's been authenticated by a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC. Alright, coin lovers, I hope I've sparked your curiosity. Maybe you've got that one in a million pennies sitting in your drawer or your change jar. Or maybe you'll find one tomorrow while you're out running errands. Either way, keep your eyes peeled and start inspecting your change with fresh eyes. You never know what you might find. And hey, if you want to learn more about rare coins, tips on how to spot valuable pennies, or even some wild stories about coin collecting, you gotta hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on any of these tips that could help you find your very own treasure. Who knows, the next time you check your change, you could be holding onto a coin worth more than your car. And trust me, you'll want to be the first to know about it. So, subscribe, like, and stay tuned for more tips on coins worth money. Have you ever imagined casually pulling a coin from your pocket, only to discover it's worth a fortune? Sounds like something out of a Hollywood movie, right? Well, guess what? That's exactly what happened with the 1992 D Lincoln 1-cent penny. And if you've got one of these bad boys sitting in your collection, you might just be sitting on a small fortune. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll be Googling how to check your spare change for hidden treasure. Let's dive in. So, you're probably thinking, a 1992 penny? Seriously? Is that the one I used to buy a piece of gum at the store? Well, my friend, yes, that very penny could be worth up to $1.7 million. And no, I'm not kidding, this isn't a late-night infomercial trick. There's actually a very rare variety of the 1992 D Mint Mark Lincoln penny that's worth an eye-popping amount of money. Now, let's break it down. Normally, a 1992 D penny is worth, well, a penny. It's not something you're going to cash in for a vacation in the Bahamas, that's for sure. But, and this is the big but, there's a particular error with some of these pennies that makes them insanely valuable. The mistake happened during the minting process when the die used to strike the coins was out of alignment. This caused some pennies to come out looking like they were double-struck, and that tiny little error turned a regular old penny into a serious collector's dream. So why is this so special? Well, because of how rare it is. Only a few hundred of these double-struck 1992 D pennies were ever made, and it's that extreme rarity that makes them worth a crazy amount of money. If you find one in decent condition, you could be looking at a coin worth over $1.7 million. Yeah, you heard me right, million, with an M. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. How do I know if my penny is one of these million-dollar wonders? Well, here's the thing. Most 1992 D pennies you'll find are, well, just pennies. You've got to look carefully. What you're looking for is that distinct double strike. The two impressions of Lincoln on the coin should be misaligned, and there may be some extra detail where the design overlaps. Don't worry, I'll show you what to look for. See the difference? On the right is a regular penny, nothing special there. On the left, that's the one you want to look for. You can spot this mistake on both the obverse and reverse sides of the coin. But here's where it gets a little tricky. Most of the time, when you find a coin like this, it's easy to be like, hey, this looks weird, but it's probably not that valuable. And I get it. Who hasn't found an odd-looking coin and thought, I'll hold on to that, maybe it's rare? Well, let me share a personal story. Not long ago, I was going through some old change I had laying around, pennies, nickels, the stuff you throw in a jar and forget about. I pulled out a 1992 D penny, and it looked like any other penny, until I noticed a little extra detail around Lincoln's head. I thought, is this just dirt? Or could it be something more? I didn't get too excited at first, but I snapped a photo and sent it to a friend who's a coin expert. Guess what? I had found a rare double-struck penny. It wasn't worth $1.7 million, but it was still a pretty nice find. The moral of the story? You can find treasure in the most unlikely places. So, there you have it, your 1992 D penny could be hiding a fortune in plain sight. But here's the kicker. To actually cash in on your discovery, you've got to know what to look for, and you've got to be careful. If you think you've found one of these rare double-struck pennies, make sure to get it authenticated by a professional. Don't just show up at your local coin shop and expect them to hand you $1 million. All right? They'll need to verify its authenticity first. Before we wrap up, remember, coins are fun, but they can also be a great way to make some serious money. Keep your eyes peeled, check your change, and who knows, you could be the next person to uncover a rare penny worth millions. And hey, if you want more tips, tricks, and strategies on how to spot coins that are worth way more than their face value. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out on the next big coin tip that could make you a fortune. I'm talking about the 1996 D Mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. I know what you're thinking. A penny? Worth that much? Impossible. Well, buckle up, because by the end of this video, you'll be checking your pocket change like it's a treasure chest. Stick around, because today we're diving deep into why this penny has turned heads in the coin collecting world and could make you a lot richer if you have one of these rare beauties. Let's go! Alright, so first things first, let's break it down. The penny in question here is a 1996 Lincoln 1-cent penny. You probably have a few of these lying around, right? Maybe stuck in the back of your couch cushions or hiding in that jar next to your microwave that's been there since, well, forever. But here's the catch. The one worth a whopping $1.9 million was minted in Denver in 1996 and has a huge flaw. This little guy right here has the D Mint mark, indicating it was made at the Denver Mint. But that's not what makes it so special. No. What makes this penny worth more than a house is a very rare error, a double die obverse. Essentially, the image of Abraham Lincoln was struck twice on the coin, making the design appear slightly shifted and even a little blurry in places. Now, you might be asking, why would I care about a blurry Lincoln? Well, apparently, collectors love a good error, and this penny, with its unique design flaw, became one of the most sought-after coins in the market. So how rare is it? Well, only one has been confirmed, yes, just one, by the experts, and that's the one that was auctioned off for a jaw-dropping $1.9 million in 2021. That's right, a penny, not even worth a single cent in its current state, could end up being worth more than most people's homes. Can you imagine? I don't know about you, but I'm over here wondering if I have a drawer full of future million-dollar pennies. Okay, let's get down to business. What makes this penny so valuable? It's not just about the error. It's about how rare it is, the condition it's in, and of course, how badly collectors want it. This penny is a one-of-a-kind in the market, and when you're dealing with one coin that could change someone's life, well, that's when you get crazy prices. Now, just to clear up any confusion here, just because you have a 1996 D Mint penny doesn't mean you're about to become a millionaire. Most 1996 D pennies are still worth, you guessed it, 1 cent. But if you think you might have a double die error on your hands, there are a couple of ways to tell. First, check the date and mint mark. If it's a 1996 D, you're already in the right ballpark. Next, take a good look at Abraham Lincoln's face. If you notice doubling, especially around the nose, chin, or forehead, that could be the error you're looking for. And let's be real here, if you're starting to squint and do your best detective impression, you're probably not alone. I once spent hours looking at a pile of change, convinced that a 1982 penny was going to make me rich. Spoiler alert, it didn't. But the hunt is half the fun, right? Anyway, let's wrap it up. The 1996 D Mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny with the double die error is truly a once-in-a-lifetime find. If you're lucky enough to have one, you could be looking at the jackpot of a lifetime. But remember, not every 1996 D penny is going to make you a millionaire. So don't go throwing your whole piggy bank into the lottery just yet. If you're out there checking your change right now, I totally get it. Trust me, I've been there. But even if you don't have a $1.9 million penny in your hands, don't forget to keep hunting for those hidden treasures in your spare change. Who knows? Maybe the next lucky find is just around the corner. Before you go, do me a favor. If you enjoyed this little trip into the world of rare coins, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for more tips and tricks on coins that could make you rich, or at least richer than you were before. Also, share this with your friends, because who doesn't love a good treasure hunt? All right, folks, keep searching, keep collecting, and remember, it's not about the pennies you have, it's about the ones you don't know about yet. See you next time, coin hunters.